What's up? Welcome back. I'm John Stark from MacTheMovieGuy.com, your favorite blind film critic. And today we're going to take a look at Simple Plan, The Kids in the Crowd. This is a 2025 documentary that was released directly to Prime Video. We're in sort of like a content creation phase where we make documentaries about anyone, literally. I think I think all the streaming services just have people working in like a docu department, and they're just trying to find like the most interesting subject people who don't have a documentary about them. So we're getting like random, sports greats and artists and actors, moments in history, reliving tragic events, whatever you can get. We're trying to get those documentaries out. And the question is, are any of these actually a cut above? Or are they just content creation where it's fan service? They make a documentary about I don't know, pick literally any of them and then sell it to the fan. And then does the fan want to see it? Yes. Does anybody else want to see it? Maybe not. Would anybody else get anything out of it? Probably not. So, occasionally we get a documentary that's just sort of interesting and unique and stands out. Does Simple Plan, The Kids in the Crowd, stand out? Not really. It's content creation. It's what it is. And I like Simple Plan. While I was sitting there watching the movie, I was reminded of all the songs that I actually listened to. Like, this was sort of my era. It's weird how music comes back around. Like, at the top of this, they talk about how they're on this world tour. It's the biggest world tour they've had in 25 years. So I was like, why is Simple Plan on the largest tour now? I haven't heard anybody mention Simple Plan, I don't think in like 15 years. So, but then again, I could say the same about a lot of bands. And I work with kids who are coming up now, and the music that they're listening to is this music that back in the day, uh, kids, people in my age range now debated about whether or not this music was good, whether or not this music would stand the test of time. And now I have kids who are like obsessed with like Creed and System of a Down. And it's just like, it's so weird. But, and unironically with Nickelback, like unironically, like Nickelback has like a second life and people are like, yeah, Nickelback's really good. And I was like, what? Like, what is happening? With this next generation, I guess to them that's their classic rock. For them they have to go back even further. Everything else is like oldies. For our when I was around, I mean, people were listening to stuff like Led Zeppelin and Rolling Stones and the Grateful Dead and stuff like that were like classic rock for them. Move that up like 25 years. And I guess Simple Plan is classic rock now. Weird. It's so weird. But yeah, they go out and you can hear these. I mean, the audio description on this is not great. We'll get into that. But yeah, you can hear these crowds, and these are obviously like young people. They're not playing to like seniors. They're not playing to like a whole bunch of like people like me and like midlife crisis who are going out to concerts for Simple Plan. It's like they sound like they have a whole bunch of like teen girls screaming at them in the audience. I'm like, why? I don't understand, but I guess they're still popular. They started out as a Canadian rock band. We learned about that. We learned about how they formed, where they formed from. Some people were in other bands, and then they came in Simple Plan. They started playing music, what their early influences are. It's interesting that The Offspring is listed as one of their, because that's like one of those bands that came along around the same time as like Creed, where you're like, is this really music? Is this going to be? Guess so, because we're watching a documentary about a band that has apparently stood the test of time, and one of their music influences was The Offspring. So weird. I feel so old. I feel so old this with this documentary, but uh I it's very poppy. It's very just sort of like, this is Simple Plan. This is for the fans. I love you. There's I keep getting, somebody keeps wanting me to watch this screener for this BTS Army thing. It's like fan service for BTS people, and it's like a documentary that's coming out. And I'm like, I don't even understand BTS, and I feel like that kind of thing for them, I don't even think I would get it. Like I don't I have to conceptually understand why BTS is fun first, and I've only kind of heard their stuff, and I'm I don't quite get K-pop. So, here I'm having a hard time imagining Simple Plans, like, playing to sold out stadiums around the world, but okay, we'll go with that. It has some archival footage, they're gonna jump around in time, and, like, they play on Jay Leno, um, and you'll hear most of their hits at some point, at least little clips and stuff of the stuff. So I remembered quite that I liked quite a few of their songs. I know I have a couple of their albums. I just hadn't given Simple Plan a whole lot of thought, but they came along in this time with like All American Rejects, the Ataris, I don't know, Good Charlotte, I guess. Founds of Wayne, those sort of like Warp Tour type bands. And yeah, we had this sort of like resurgence of things that were they were a little bit different than Green Day, because Green Day had been around for a little bit longer than these bands, and these bands were kind of doing something a little bit different, but Green Day-ish. It's funny that they don't consider Green Day. They didn't name check Green Day to be an influence, because I think Green Day influenced a lot of these bands. If that feels them and like Weezer sort of feel pretty close. I don't know. It's fine if you're super excited about Simple Plan and you want to go into this. I just don't think it really offers anything other than like if you know nothing about Simple Plan, now you do. So there's nothing revelatory about this band. There's nothing that really is crazy about the band. I think, you know, I saw a documentary earlier this year from called Metallica Saved My Life, which I thought was interesting because it explored and interviewed all these fans and their personal relationships to Metallica, sort of like a fan service thing. But that supported this idea that Metallica really had, you know, came around before the days of all this stuff and had to send out tapes. And they've been developing this fan base for such a long time that they have fans who've been fans for so many years, and they've hired some of their fans to like work and do things for them, and so there was something that was there. There was like a there. This one just has no there. This one is just like, if you're a fan of Simple Plan, you'll like it because it's the story of Simple Plan, even though it's a simple story. If you're not a fan of Simple Plan, you'll learn a little bit about Simple Plan, but also may not like the movie because you may not like their music. As far as audio description goes, nobody took credit for it at the end of this, although there are some narrators who only work with bottom barrel chum scrubbing companies that do like the least amount of audio description. I didn't mind the fact that they were on this. So whichever company it is, it's either like Vitac or Diffuse, because the narrator only works with Vitac or Diffuse. I've never heard them work outside of that. I don't think they've ever worked with Roundabout before. It's possible, but I think it's either Vitac or Diffuse, which is weird that they didn't take credit for it. There might be like a third company out there that never takes credit for anything that hired her, but this female narrator voice, who never also gets credit as a narrator, is on this, and she's been on a lot of just really troubling audio description tracks that are not great, mediocre to not great. I don't remember if I've ever heard her on anything that's actually been good. But I like her voice, which is one of the worst parts. Is I hate the fact that she seems like a solid narrator voice that you would hear, and I could understand following her. I've always disliked the fact that this narrator voice has been stuck with companies that seem to be providing the least, that their writers are not really challenging anything or trying to fit in the most. They're not really thinking about what it is that blind people really need or want or have to have. Revival is a great example of this. It's a show that she narrates for Peacock. And the show constantly has characters in the show referencing something visually, but then the audio description doesn't pick up on it. And then the characters don't describe it through dialogue. So oftentimes there's like a look at that. Do you see that over there? I don't know. What is it? I don't know. What is it? What is it? What is it doing? I don't know. And then you're just, fuck it. I don't know. I don't know. Audio description, nobody knows. So, in this documentary, there really isn't a lot of description. There's a little bit of the usefulness of the audio description track is that because they're Canadian and Simple Plan is from, I want to say Montreal. I want to be right and say Montreal. They speak both French and English, like they can navigate. One of the band members mentions the fact the reason why he has no accent is because he learned English and French simultaneously. So he can flip between English and French on a dime. But like they interview, one of his family members who speaks French. And so we can't read the subtitles. So of course we need the audio description. So, I mean, it does like functionally come in to play in certain parts, but there are other times where, yeah, it's not really doing much. I mean, occasionally you get sort of like, this is the band member that spoke, but other times you can go a long time without knowing who's speaking or why. But also, I'm fair. I'm not trying to. This is not really a documentary that's structured for sort of like verbose audio description, which is why this is kind of one of the things that it's like, well, if we're going to give a company that doesn't really do strong audio description work, I guess this is the film to do it on, because this is the kind of film where thoughtful audio description writers are going to rack their brains over like, man, we didn't put enough in there. And it's like, I don't know that you can. Like, it's, I mean, they do a lot of talking, and when they're not talking, they're playing music. And then you're like, well, do we put audio description over the performances? That becomes kind of a little bit of because it's clearly like a music documentary. I mean, it's about a band. So it's not just a documentary that has music in it. It's a documentary about musicians. So the argument could be that people came just as much to hear the music as they did the audio description, depending on where you're coming at. A fan of Simple Plan isn't going to want you to talk over their songs, even if they need audio description. So it's a tough needle to thread. So this kind of pithy little audio description that these companies tend to produce, when they do it on this, I'm not bothered by it, but it's also, this is the one that they don't want to take credit for, but yet they'll take credit for other things that are not great, and they should not be doing those shows. Like, there's work I'd love to be taking away from those shows and giving to other audio description companies that actually have writers who sit around and think about like, what can we do with audio description? Not how do I collect a paycheck? Not what's the bare minimum we can get away with? I have 24 hours to write this audio description track and I can't be bothered. I've talked to writers, and they're some of the best writers in this industry. They get stressed out because of these deadlines, but they are very concerned, and they really do try to cram in as much as they can. And they look at the format of the things that sometimes are offered, and I can tell that it actually like pains them whenever they feel like that they have fallen short. Even though I turn around and listen to their stuff, I'm like, that's pretty good. Like, that's above the average for what you would get in this genre. Now here with Simple Plan, you're getting kind of average, if not slightly below average, but there isn't really much else that you'd be able to do. Yeah, if I gave this to a stronger narrator, a stronger writer, not the narrator's fine. She just gets, I don't know, she gets hired by the lowest people. And if I gave this to a stronger writer, yeah, they'd find more places. They'd find a little bit more to do. They'd probably lose sleep over it. And I don't know that it would make the movie much better. So it just, the movie isn't structured in a way to support a lot of audio description. So that's my thought on Simple Plan. I like the band, which is, when you think about biases, and I have to give it like a tomato meter score, and I'm saying this is like content creation, I think the documentary is fine. I can't think of a reason why the documentary is bad. Like, why is it a bad documentary? Like, why would I say rotten? Like, what did it do wrong? Um, and the only thing I can ever come up with is on some of these things is when they're like the living artists, sometimes we have a tendency to try to not push into the controversial topics. So, like, let's say somebody in this band was struggling with addiction and they didn't want you to know about it and they didn't want to talk about it. Well, the documentarian isn't going to force the issue. So it's just not going to be a thing, unless they publicly were known for it, and like it would be weird for them to not address it, because some people just get so known for it, and it breaks into the tabloids and onto the internet to where you can't not know about it. But that didn't really happen with these guys. They can just kind of come into this and have fun and talk about their origins, their influences, the ride they've been on, how their family thinks it's crazy, how they think it's crazy, where they were then and where they are now, and they can call it a day. And then we get a Simple Plan documentary. Yeah, I don't know that it necessarily changed the world, but I'm not really sure it did anything wrong either. So I'm going to give this a 7 out of 10. It's doing fine. It's fine. And the slight little caveat there is I do like Simple Plan, so I did enjoy the movie more than if it was an artist that I didn't like or was unfamiliar with or something like that. So there's my bias you are aware of. Thank you for watching. Thanks for subscribing, and I'll see you guys on the other side.